Now, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, that's so hard. How did you deal? But how I see it now, coming out the other side and, obviously living through those hard years, I feel like it was an unnecessary struggle. And I'm in this industry to basically educate and advise you guys on your options so that you guys don't essentially have to go through the same thing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm joined here today with the lovely Amida. She is my insurance broker.
Yeah.
Basically, she sorted out my life insurance. She sorted out my critical illness cover. I have all types of insurance. I don't even know what insurance I have. I have all of it. Ask me, I have it because she sorted it all out for me. So my life is covered. Everything is covered. And I just thought it would be really good to bring her on to talk about the importance of insurance, and particularly within the Black community, because even speaking for myself, I was someone that quite shied away from the idea of insurance. And I just thought it was really morbid. As soon as you started talking about life insurance and death and illness, and I used to just be like, I rebuke in Jesus' name. I used to be that sort of person. So I just thought it'd be really good if she came on and spoke to you guys about the importance of it, what she does, and and just continue to emphasize why we need insurance protection in our lives. So my lovely Amida, if you want to just introduce yourself and explain what you do and why you're so passionate about insurance protection.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Amida. Thank you so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited. So as you rightly heard from Shay, I am a insurance broker / financial advisor. I am regulated by the FCA, and that is the Financial Conduct Authority. If you do want to get in touch or find out more, I am available on Instagram at @sheinsures_, Facebook sheinsures, or Twitter at sheinsures_.
I'm going to leave all her details in the description box, because you guys, as soon as you watch this video, I'm expecting everybody to reach out to her, by the way. So I'm putting all your details there. But yeah, go on, babe.
Yeah, so basically what I do, I specialize in a range of insurances. So whether it's business insurance, life insurance, critical illness, income protection, private medical health, you name it, I do it, mortgage protection, landlord insurance. So there's a range of products that I cover, and how my consultations work, they are free.
No, and they actually are, by the way. Sometimes, they say, oh, free consultation. You're thinking, what's the catch? What's free? It actually is.
So I offer free consultations to basically provide education, to go through your insurance options, and also to ensure that you get the understanding. So that is what I'm really, really passionate about. And why I joined the industry and why I'm here is essentially because I lived firsthand without having insurance. Quite heavy topic to start with, but I lost my dad when I was 21 years old. He had a cardiovascular disease, he had a heart attack. So it was an instant death. He didn't have any prior medical conditions. He didn't even have a cold, basically. So he literally woke up one morning, brushed his teeth, and that was it. And at the time, he left my mum a widow with 4 kids, 3 of us 21 and under. So we lost our dad really, really suddenly. We've celebrated the 11th year of his passing just recently, actually. So yeah, quite heavy stuff. But that is why I'm in the industry, because what we found out actually is while we were going through his things after he passed away, we actually realized that he actually had life insurance, but cancelled it 2 months before he passed.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so where my family were actually entitled to have a lump sum amount of money, which obviously would have helped us sufficiently, we didn't get anything. So that is kind of what woken me up to, basically understand that, yes, I need life insurance. It's really important. Again, without saying too much, basically my family and I, we struggled financially. We had to obviously, well, you don't know, but we had to sell our property, which my parents had recently invested in, and then go back into private renting. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, that's so hard. How did you deal? But how I see it now, coming out the other side and, obviously living through those hard years, I feel like it was an unnecessary struggle. And I'm in this industry to basically educate and advise you guys on your options so that you guys don't essentially have to go through the same thing. So in a nutshell, that's why I'm in the business. This is me, and this is how I can potentially help you.
so powerful, honestly. Like, I know, like, you told me this story before, but it's like I'm hearing it for the
Yeah.
first time, and it literally touches my heart every single time, like whenever I hear it, because I'm just like, I feel like a lot of us as well, and I keep saying the Black community because that's, I guess, what I'm used to. We do have
Yeah.
that kind of like, oh, it's insurance, oh, let's just cancel that. Like, you know, you just think, oh,
Yeah.
it's another direct debit, another extra whatever to pay, let's just cancel that. And you just never think these things are going to happen to you, you know. I think a lot of us as well, like our parents, a lot of us grew up in quite heavy faith households, so you
Yeah.
don't think that sickness is going to come your way, because as far as you're
Of
concerned,
course.
you're covered with the blood of Jesus. That's the only
Yeah.
insurance protection that you feel like you need. Sorry, love.
Exactly.
So
And the thing,
yeah, go on, honey. Sorry.
yeah, so I was gonna say, and the thing is, a lot of the time, that it's our mindsets that hold us back. You know, we think we're being really progressive because obviously our faith teaches us one way, but life actually happens whether you're a person of faith or not.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the hardest things that I had to accept, because you know, a lot of the time when people pass away, there's usually it's almost like, okay, they had a sickness already, you could see that they were going to go, or they could have potentially gone, but in my dad's case there was literally nothing wrong. And it's just like I questioned God a little bit. So I was like, oh my God, like, why did this happen? Like, where did this come from? And I think as well, what was the hardest part is that me and my family, well, my siblings and I anyway, we were kind of like sheltered from like the death side of life. So we hadn't actually had a family member that was close to us that had passed away. So as we were growing up, when I hear my friends or people around me had said, oh, my grandma passed away, or my uncle passed away, my aunt passed away, I couldn't really connect with it. I could say, oh, I'm really sorry, or my condolences, but I was quite naive in that respect, because obviously I hadn't experienced it firsthand. So when it was my dad, it was literally like a major blow. And literally my family and I were like, what are we actually going to do? Because we hadn't prepared for it. We'd never talked about financial planning around death or anything like that. And plus, we weren't even in a position to help, because three of us were 21 and under. The oldest child was 25, but she had 2 kids at the time. So really, there wasn't much influx of money coming in. So it was a really hard adjustment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like it's so, it's really weird, because in one sense, like, death is the one thing we know is happening. Like, that's the one guaranteed thing in life that we can say is happening, and it's coming for all of us. Obviously, we all want a long life, but yet, even though we know it's the one guaranteed thing, it's the one thing that we probably shy away from the most, and we don't like to talk about it, and we don't like to think about it. I mean, you know, obviously I don't like to think about it. I get terrified about it. So yeah, and I just think because of that, I feel like that's what attaches that connotation to the idea of life insurance and stuff. But I think, like you've rightly put, in terms of like the position like your family were in and stuff like that, it's like you've got the grief to deal with, and then it's like the financial kind of burdening on top of it as well. It's something that is really worth thinking about, and I would really encourage people to really think about insurance protection, particularly life insurance, especially if you've got children, you've got family. You don't want them to, on top of grieving for you, have to think about, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for the funeral? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? Like, I hate to say it, and I don't mean to sound insensitive, but I'm almost kind of like tired of seeing GoFundMes when people pass away in the Black community.
That's not insensitive, it's honest.
Yeah, I'm tired of seeing it. It's just like, oh gosh, like, oh yeah, we need to pay for funeral costs or this, that, and the other. And it always like hurts me, because I'm just like, and maybe this was obviously before, like, you know, meeting you and you like educating me about insurance and stuff like that. I didn't even realize, like, with the level of cover that you can get and the amount of like money you can get for illness, and compared to what you pay a month, it's literally nothing in comparison to that. And then it's like people die, and then you're having to set up GoFundMes for whatever thousands of pounds that your insurance protection would have paid out triple that even, for a small monthly payment. And it's just, I think maybe it's the lack of awareness, the lack of education, but I'm genuinely really blessed to have met you, because it's something I knew I wanted to do for a while, but I just didn't know where to start. I was like really overwhelmed, like looking into it, and I'm sure other people probably like watching this might feel the same way. I was like really overwhelmed, and it's like you literally came at like the right time where I was really thinking, sort this out. So So on that, actually, because obviously I've experienced like going through it with you and stuff, and I thought it was a great service. But like, what can people expect like when they come in, like have a consultation with you? Like, what can people expect?
Yeah, so there's a lot to cover. You've actually said so much, and in my head, I'm like, okay, look, I got a point. So I'm gonna touch on a few things that you said, and then I'm gonna talk about the service, if that's
please,
okay.
Yeah.
So firstly, I wanted to say is with insurance as a whole, there's a lot of misconceptions that people have. Firstly, a lot of people don't actually understand that insurance actually gives you instant access to money that you don't have. Yeah, because people always say to me, oh, but I could just save that money. You could, but the likelihood is, how long is it going to take you to save £250,000 in this lifetime? How long? I'll wait.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is people misunderstand the cost element of it. A lot of people have the understanding that, oh my God, it's going to be so expensive. It's going to be so expensive. And I'm like, I promise you it's not. Let's do a quote. And then I run them a quote, and then they see that actually it's the cost of Nando's on the side.
I couldn't believe how cheap it was. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like when you was doing the quotes, because like Amida's really good. Like she'll talk you through every detail to make sure that you understand it, and she'll talk you through all the amounts. And she said the amount, and I was just like, oh, what is that each? And she was like, no, in total. I was like, sorry, what? Why have I not done this sooner? Like I couldn't believe how cheap it was. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And a lot of people have the same reaction as you. So they say, oh my God, I spend more than that on ASOS each month. Oh my God, I spend more on my hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is the thing. And it's about priorities. And I think people just see it as another bill, but it's not really a bill. It's actually an investment, because what you're saying is that, you know what, regardless of what happens to me, my family will be okay.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't really be the burden of anyone else to bury you. And a lot of people are just ignorant when it comes to these things. They say things like, oh, you guys, they could just cremate me. I'm like, is that free?
Exactly.
Is that free?
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, yeah, you can just throw me, you can just spread my ashes across this, or you could just put me in a box and all this. I'm like, it is not free. Nothing in this UK is free. Exactly. Please tell me one thing in this UK that is free.
Exactly.
And another thing that I wanted to say is there's a difference between going online and going through a broker. As you quite rightly said, that the process is a lot more thorough, because when you go online, what tends to happen is the quotes that you find are quite generic, and they're not as comprehensive as they can be if you were to go through a broker. I'll give you an example. When you have a consultation with myself, what we will go through is we'll talk about your lifestyle. We'll take it into consideration to make sure that a quote is tailored to you. For i.e., we'll talk about, are you a smoker? We'll talk about how many kids you have, your finances. We'll talk about your family, any medical issues, your medical history, just to ascertain, so that I know that whoever I recommend for you, or whichever provider I recommend to you, you will have the best placed provider for you.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit, because as a broker, I work with the whole of market. So I have access to all the providers within the UK. So what that means is essentially, I know when you say, for example, oh, you're a smoker, okay, you have a health issue, or you have this, or you have that. I'm like, okay, this provider will be best, or that provider will be best. But if you're going online, you're not privy to that. And there's a few add-ons that are available that also are not available online. I'll give you an example. There's something called global treatment. And I think I spoke to you about this. I can't actually remember, to be honest. Now, what global treatment is say, for example, you were talking about GoFundMe's, perfect example. When you see a GoFundMe saying, oh, we need to raise £250,000 to get my son treated in Spain. With a global treatment cover, which is £4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so less than McDonald's, cheaper than McDonald's, you could basically, what a provider would do is basically pay for that surgery that is required and ship you to the country that specializes in that treatment, because not all treatments are carried out in the UK. So say, for example, you had melanoma, which is a specialist type of cancer which is prominent in Black people. And some people might need a bone marrow transplant as a result of that.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for argument's sake, that bone marrow transplant that you might need is not done in the UK, but is done in Dubai or US or wherever. What your provider would do with a global treatment add-on cover for the additional £4, they will send you, your partner, and a child, if you have a child, across to that country. They will pay for your surgery up to £1 million, and they will also give you £100 a day towards food, hotel, for up to 60 days. Not only that, they will ship you back and provide you with your aftercare. So that's an example of what global treatment can do. So rather than fundraising, if you have a critical illness cover policy, with an add-on of global treatment, these are the things that you can be privy to. And you wouldn't know that if you're Googling saying what my life insurance online, because you don't even have the understanding of that.
It's true.
So that's why that's why I always say to my clients, always, always, always seek advice.
Yeah.
Because it's just like going to a doctor. You wouldn't go to any random person, or you wouldn't just go online and start figuring out what you've got. You would go to a trained professional who's been in the industry, who understands the products and understands the market, that can advise you as to what to do.
Yeah. No, I think I'm so glad you said that, because it's true. I didn't realize the benefit of that, obviously, before. Because like I said, when I was going online, like even in terms of, I think what I liked about you was that there was things that you spoke to me about that I wouldn't even have known if you hadn't mentioned it. I didn't know that there were certain kind of insurance protections that even existed. And it's about, as well, like you said, like tailoring it to my lifestyle and like where I'm at in my life and things like that. And forward thinking as well is what I liked. The forward thinking of, okay, what could you need in X amount of years time? Like, God forbid, if you did get sick in X years, like what type of kind of like cover will you need? Things like that I wouldn't think about on my own if I was browsing around online, because I wouldn't be thinking, or like those kind of questions wouldn't come to me. So I think like I felt like I really got the benefit of that, and I think other people would as well. So I would really, really recommend, even if you're not sure, you don't know, just have one conversation with Amida. I promise you.
Bless you.
Just to, because it's so key. And I think the illness one as well is something, again, like aside from life insurance, there's also illness to think about. Like, you know, people don't necessarily plan to get sick. Like no one hopes to get sick. It's not one of those things. And a lot of the time you never think it's going to happen to you, especially because you're fit and healthy and you just think, oh, I'm fine. Like I've never really been sick. At the most, maybe I've got a cold. Like, and I'm one of those people, I've never been like critically ill. I've never had anything like really, I feel like the most I probably have is like a cold or a sore throat or whatever. I don't get really sick. So someone like me might be ignorant to think, okay, well, I'm fit and healthy. I'm fine. You know, I eat my 5 a day. Well, I don't actually. Oh, I drink loads of water. I don't do that either. Sorry. I'm just here to so yeah, I might say like,
just telling a whole load of lies.
I know, no, but I might say like I've got a really healthy lifestyle. So therefore I'm fine. I don't need anything. But you just don't know. Some of the most healthiest people just fall ill out of nowhere. Never ever predict it. So I just like really want to encourage people that don't kind of wait till, God forbid, the worst happens. And it's not even like you want to wish for it to happen to you, but you always have that peace of, like, now I have that peace of mind that, of course, God forbid, I don't want anything to happen to me, but I now have that real assurance that, God forbid, if I get sick, if something happens to me, if I fall ill while I'm at work and I'm out of work, my bills will be paid. So I'm like, because that's another cover that I've got as well that Amida helped me with. So I don't have to stress about, oh my God, how am I going to pay for things because I'm not at work? You know, there's so much to it as well that comes with it. And you just have that peace of mind that no matter what happens, I feel like life is stressful enough. Let's not add money to be the thing to stress. When it comes to things like your health and all of that, let's just not. So for me, I just feel like I've got that confidence and that assurance that, okay, I don't have to think about that. I don't have to worry. And it's a great feeling, honestly, I have to say.
And you know what, you mentioned this earlier. The thing is, when it comes to funerals and things like that, I always say, you do not need to be mourning and struggling. Mourn in peace. Because if you've the thing is, even in your immediate family, it's not even just about you now. We're talking about the nuclear family. If your sibling passed away, not you personally, because we don't pray this for you. If John's sister passed away, the financial burden of her funeral will fall onto his head. So think about your family now, your family economics. How do you want your family to be set up? Does your mom have insurance? Does your granddad? Does your uncle? Does your auntie? Does your sister? It's not just about you. It's about everybody. Everybody needs to be covered, because at the end of the day, £15,000 plus, if you're African, for a funeral is expensive. It is honestly expensive. So we need to make sure that we're putting things in place so that should the worst case happen, we can mourn in peace. You can say, you know what, my mortgage is going to be covered, my funeral is going to be covered, my this is going to be covered, my that is going to be covered, and not, oh my God, how are we going to make ends meet? Oh my God, how are we going to do that? Oh my God, how are we going to do that? Which was my case.
Yeah.
And the second thing I wanted to mention as well is that with a policy, any policy, it actually does accommodate your lifestyle changes. I hear a lot of the time people say, oh my gosh, but what if I lose my job? What if I become made redundant? What if I'm furloughed? What happens then to my policy? That doesn't necessarily mean that your policy is cancelled, one. And two, if your circumstance changes, you have the option of actually reducing the amount that you're currently paying to match your current circumstance.
Yeah.
And then when things are okay, or when you start earning more money or whatever have you, you can increase it back to what it was, sorry. Or you can, if you start making more money, you can reinstate it to that.
Yeah.
Because the point of a life insurance or insurance as a whole is to accommodate your lifestyle changes. Otherwise, it kind of makes it redundant.
Yeah.
There's no point. Because if you got it at now and you don't have a home, for example, and it has to stay the same, what happens? It doesn't make sense. So you don't enter into a legally binding contract. It's not like a mobile phone bill that says, over the course of this time, you must pay X, Y, Z. You signed to agree to pay this. No, it's flexible in that way.
Yeah.
So if you have kids, if you earn more money, if you get married and you decide to add your partner as part of your policy, or whatever it is that you decide to do, you have the flexibility of doing that. And this is why we always say go to a broker, because we are best placed to advise you on what to do. So if you say, for example, if you say, you know what, I'm married now and I have 2 kids, you then call me up and say, what do I need to do in terms of my life insurance? I'll say, okay, you need to include your children as part of your critical illness policy, and then probably set up a trust or something like that. And I can guide you through those processes because, again, I have the knowledge and I'm trained in the field. Do you get what I mean? So just to bring it home, I know we keep talking about policies, and I'm sure most of you might not even know what these policies are. So I'll give you the top 3. First one is a life insurance, which I'm sure everybody has heard of. But with a life insurance, a lot of people don't actually know what it does. So what a life insurance does is it basically provides a tax-free lump sum amount of money to your next of kin in the event of your death. Now, what this money actually can do is to cover any debts or liabilities. So a debt or a liability can be either a car finance, credit card loan, mortgage, business loan, anything that needs to be paid off. Because what a lot of people don't actually understand is that once you die, your debts don't actually get wiped out. It could actually be passed on to your next of kin. So what you need to do is to basically, so life insurance, essentially what it does is it basically clears up the financial messes that you've left behind and can be used to basically provide an income for your families as well. Second type of insurance that is really important is critical illness. Now, we briefly mentioned this thereabout, but I'll explain what it does. So critical illness cover is basically, again, a tax-free lump sum amount of money that will be provided to you or your family if you survive the critical illness, and it basically gives you options. So if you were to have a serious illness, I'll give you an example of a few: a heart attack, which is what my dad had, but he didn't survive; cancer, which is very prominent in the Black community; type 1 diabetes; Alzheimer's dementia, which is again prominent in the Black community; a stroke; kidney failure, blindness, loss of limb, blindness. It goes on. I think I said blindness twice, but anyway, it goes on. There's quite a few number of critical illnesses that policy covers. And why I say it gives you options is, say, for example, if you were to now become incapacitated, you would now probably need to have a carer within the home, or you'll probably have to look at having private care. Now, in our communities, because we have lacked the resources to be able to outsource these services, what has happened is that responsibility has been placed on a family member. I'm sure we know someone that knows someone. We've heard a story that one auntie or one uncle is now looking after her husband, or this or that, whatever the case may be. But if we have access to these resources, we now have the injection of money coming in, and it gives us the more flexibility to decide what we want to do. Similarly, what you can also do is, some situations you might have to refurbish your household because you can now no longer walk up the stairs. Or you might need something to be put inbuilt into your shower to accommodate your new disability. So you need to refurbish your household. It costs money. Do you know what I mean? You might need to look at private healthcare. because you're tired of the NHS and you're tired of waiting for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months just to get your treatment. And if you have cancer, a lot of people don't know that a lot of the medications for cancer are not actually available on the NHS. So people tend to use their savings. So again, if you're having these policies in place, it is an injection of wealth and it is a cushion. And it's no longer your situations dictating what you should do. It's putting you in the driver's seat and giving you that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Third type of insurance, before I bore you all to death, is income protection. Now, income protection is key. Why it's key is because this is seen as the sick pay for the self-employed.
Yeah.
So if you look at our society and our communities at the minute, a lot of us are becoming contractors. A lot of us are creating our own businesses, meaning that we're self-employed.
Yeah.
A lot of us are locum workers. If you work within social care, social work, a lot of us are salaried employees, but we have a really bad reputation of being job hoppers because we're not loyal.
Yeah.
And why should we be, right?
Yeah.
We're creating our own opportunities. We're jumping up the career ladders in a creative way.
Yeah.
So what does that mean then? That means that the likelihood of you getting a long sick pay is quite minimal. Obviously excluding certain industries. But if we look at our predecessors and our mum's generations, they were staying in jobs a lot longer than we are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the likelihood of us getting really, really long sick pay, quite slim to none. If you're self-employed, you don't get any sick pay. If you're a local worker, no sick pay. If you're a contractor, if you don't work, you don't eat, basically.
Yeah.
So what happens if you are a self-employed mum of two with a mortgage and you twist your ankle when you're out of work for 4 months and you have no savings because you were living lavish with your quite hefty paycheck? You will not be able to pay your bills. You will not be able to look after your kids effectively. You will not be able to run your household. So what happens? Why should you fall into debt because you're sick? If you fall into depression, if you have a really, really bad back pain, which so many of us do, if you have a reproductive health issue that stops you from working for a while, what happens? You need to make sure that you're putting these policies in place. An income protection will basically give you up to 65 to 70% of your annual salary as a monthly income to help sustain you should the worst case happen. And it covers you until you're able to return back to work.
Yeah.
This basically enables you to make sure that you don't fall into debt, that the pressure is alleviated, and you are able to maintain the same lifestyle. 2019, £90.8 million were paid out to people in claims for income protection. And the number one reason for these claims were for mental health reasons.
Wow.
Depression, anxiety, and stress.
Wow.
During COVID, one of my colleagues, she has had about 7 people claiming income protection because of mental health issues due to coronavirus. So it is a solution to your problems. And I know there's a huge stigma that when people say insurance is a scam, insurers don't pay out, blah, 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 blah. This is a misconception. What a lot of people don't actually know is that insurers actually go out of their way to ensure that they're not only just providing you your insurance, but they are also providing additional services that look after your whole lifestyle holistically. Some providers also offer access to short-term counselling. Some providers also offer physiotherapy. Some providers also offer child play therapy, access to specialist nurses. What else is there? CV workshops, interview techniques, career coaching. And these are all free benefits that are part of your policy. Do you get what I mean? Those are a few things and a few additional benefits that you can get from investing in insurance. So if you do want to understand, you do want to have a conversation, please get in touch.
Please do. No, guys, seriously, please do. In fact, don't come back and watch my channel until you've gone and called her. I'm going to check how many of my subscribers have called you. I want you to tell her, like, when you call her, let her know that it's because you watched it on my channel.
Sorry,
yeah.
I kind of went off on a tangent.
No.
I
think it was good because I was actually that was gonna be one of my questions to like explain and break down like what kind of insurance policies there are and the importance. So yeah, you literally knocked the nail on the head with that one. So
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you so much. I feel like you've given so much information and insight. I want people to actually get in touch with you so they can find out more, because we could be here talking about this all day, because there's so much to it. I've learned so much, and I'm just really grateful. So I just wanted to share that, and I just want people to.
Thank you.
No, seriously, honestly, I literally talk about you to people, and I keep saying to people, I'm gonna do a video.
Bless you.
I'm like, when I do a video, make sure you reach out to her. But yeah,
bless you. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Before, because I know we're rounding up, but I have a quick question. So, what has your mindset now been? Because obviously you were saying you were looking for insurance before and you found it overwhelming. What has been the contrast in your mindset from then and now?
I realized that I just had very little knowledge. Like I thought that I knew about insurance, or I kind of had a basic understanding of like what life insurance was and why I needed it. But I realized I actually didn't know nothing. Like when I spoke to you, I realized I actually really didn't know a lot, and I didn't even know what other kind of things are even available to me, and the types of things I should be considering alongside my life insurance, like the other types of protection that I should be thinking about, didn't even occur to me. Necessarily, I did find it really overwhelming just because I didn't know where to start. And then it's like when you go on certain websites, they like say they'll call you back, and you get all these people calling you, and you just like, that was overwhelming. But I didn't necessarily have that mindset like insurance is a scam. Like, you know how some people have that. I wasn't feeling like that. But at first, I think like when I first spoke to you, because obviously you were like, oh yeah, you know, it's free consultation. And I was like, oh, nothing's ever free. Like there's going to be, and remember when I spoke to you, I was like, how much do I have to pay you? Because I remember, because I was like, when she said, oh yeah, it's free. And then you were talking to me about the person. I was like, okay, so how much do I have to pay you? And you're like, no, you don't. And I was like, but what do you mean? Like, because in my mind, I thought, the service that I've received, how am I not paying for this? Like that was literally how I felt. I felt like, from talking to you and like all the information you were giving me, everything you was explaining to me, I'm like, how am I not paying for this? Like I was like, am I being punked? Like what's going on? Like I was so shocked, genuinely so surprised. So yeah, I think for me, my conceptions from then before is just that I found the process really, really good. In all honesty, and I thought it was really worthwhile, and I feel at ease now knowing that that's one part of my life that I've got covered and I don't have to think about it. It's a really nice feeling, and I think it's good as well because I think with you it's like an ongoing thing now. So now I know if I've got any questions about my policies, I can just come to you. So it's like
we're joining at the hip.
Literally. So it's like I just can come to you. So it's not just like, oh yeah, you've like sold me these policies and then you just leave me to it. It was never like that. It was like it's like I feel like I'm still being handheld even now, like all the way through, so that I can come back to you and ask you questions if I'm not sure about stuff. So I definitely changed my whole view on insurance and how important it is. And especially like hearing your story and even just seeing, like I said, like the GoFundMes and all of that. I think my view on insurance is just that it's so important. And I just really wish more Black people did it. And like, and I know I've got friends and stuff that have got kids that I know don't have insurance. And I'm like, guys, please, I'm begging you, please do it. So I hope that they'll watch this. Well, not even I hope. They will watch it by force.
By force.
And I hope that, that they get in touch with you and that they have a conversation, because it's honestly worth doing. I couldn't recommend it enough, honestly, guys.
Oh, bless you.
But thank you so much for coming on my channel.
Thank you.
Thank
you. It's been a long time coming. Thank you for being so patient.
No, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And guys, if you've got questions for Amida, I'm going to put all her details in the description box. Please do reach out to her. She's super friendly, super knowledgeable. Any questions you've got, trust me, I'm sure she'll be able to answer it. So just reach out to her, have that conversation, and just find out what your options are. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure that you stay tuned for my next video.
Bye.
Bye.